In 1860, 800 prisoners took control of this island, declared their own republic, and wrote their own laws. It lasted a few months. What came before it and after it is stranger still. Santo Stefano rises abruptly from the Tyrrhenian Sea, a volcanic outcrop of less than a third of a square kilometer, positioned just 1 mile east of Ventotene. Today the island is quiet, reclaimed by Mediterranean scrub and nesting gulls, yet the colossal stone structure on its central plateau remains entirely readable. Completed in 1797, this is not a fortress designed to keep invaders out, but a machine built to keep people in. The prison's layout is a physical manifestation of absolute authority. Built from porous volcanic tufa, the horseshoe-shaped complex spans a 207-meter inner perimeter. 99 cells are stacked across 3 levels, all curved inward to face a single empty courtyard. No windows look out toward the open sea. Every door is forced to look inward, toward a central point of observation. Even in its current state of decay, with sea salt slowly eroding the lime mortar, the architecture retains a heavy, silent watchfulness. The design forces an immediate, unsettling realization. The building itself was constructed to act as the primary guard, imposing a constant, unseen pressure on anyone trapped within its curve. In 1795, King Ferdinand IV issued a royal decree to transform this isolated rock into a highly structured penal colony. He commissioned architect Francesco Carpi to design a facility that would make physical discipline secondary to psychological control. Carpi adapted the Panopticon concept proposed by philosopher Jeremy Bentham, translating a radical theory of total visibility into stone. The resulting structure organized the 99 cells into a strict moral hierarchy. The ground floor cells, dark and devoid of external light, were known as hell. Above them lay purgatory, which housed the prison infirmary. The top tier, featuring small skylight slits, was called paradise. Through this precise geometry, Carpi made the state's authority feel both invisible and omnipresent. The design operated on a simple premise. A single guard, stationed in the elevated central chapel that doubled as an observation post, could monitor every cell door simultaneously. Because the prisoners could not see into the darkened watchtower, they had to assume they were constantly being watched. This constant uncertainty was designed to break the inmate's will, substituting physical chains with the relentless pressure of an unseen eye. Ferdinand IV's regime sought to establish an inescapable order, constructing a rigid architectural system that would soon face its greatest test from the very men it was built to silence. In October 1860, the absolute surveillance of the Panopticon collapsed from within. As the wars of Italian unification swept across the southern mainland, the Bourbon regime withdrew the majority of the island's guard detail to reinforce the defense of Gaeta. Seizing the opportunity, approximately 800 inmates rose up, overpowered the remaining staff, and took control of the complex. The structure built to enforce isolation and psychological pressure became the administrative center of an autonomous enclave. The prisoners declared the Republic of Santo Stefano. This was not a chaotic riot, but a calculated collective action. The inmates established a provisional senate to organize food distribution, work details, and internal security. They drafted a set of provisional statutes, preserved today in the manuscript collections of the National Central Library of Florence. These laws established a strict code of conduct, which notably prescribed the death penalty for treason against the fledgling republic. For nearly 3 months, the system designed to prevent prisoner coordination instead facilitated it. The central courtyard, once dominated by the guard's watchful eye, served as the assembly ground for the prisoner-run government. The Panopticon's core vulnerability was laid bare. The architecture relied entirely on the constant presence of human observers in the central tower. Once that human element was compromised, the physical security of the horseshoe structure became an ideal container for a self-governing community. The experiment ended in January 1861. A naval contingent of Piedmontese seamen and Savoy troops representing the newly unified Kingdom of Italy landed on the island. The mutineers, facing professional military forces, surrendered without bloodshed. The new Italian state reimposed administrative control, demonstrating the speed with which state authority returns once it decides to act. The short-lived republic remained the sharpest reversal of the prison's history, proving that even a building designed for absolute submission could be turned into a stage for self-rule. By the dawn of the 20th century, the state sledgers took on a new contested weight. In 1900, anarchist Gaetano Bresci assassinated King Umberto I, drawing a sentence of life imprisonment on Santo Stefano. On May 22, 1901, the official register recorded his death as a suicide by hanging. Yet historians continue to dispute this account, pointing to the political convenience of his sudden silence. Decades later, the cell blocks held Sandro Pertini, a future Italian president, whose survival ensured that the memory of the island would not be written by the status paperwork alone. In the 1930s, the rise of fascism brought a new wave of prisoners to Santo Stefano. The regime did not need to alter the century-old Panopticon. They simply retrofitted it, installing electric searchlights on the central chapel tower to sweep the cells through the night. The prison became a machine of isolation, housing political dissidents alongside Albanian Zogists and Ethiopian patriots captured during colonial campaigns. The state relied on the island's geographic barrier to permanently sever dissenting voices from public life, turning the Bourbon relic into an active instrument of ideological containment. In 1965, the Italian Ministry of Justice officially shut down the Santo Stefano penal colony, transferring the final group of inmates to facilities on the mainland. Once the guards and administrators withdrew, the state effectively revoked the island's purpose, leaving the massive tufa horseshoe to face the elements alone. Over the next 5 decades, only nesting gulls and the relentless Tyrrhenian winds broke the silence. Without maintenance, the porous volcanic stone absorbed the sea salt, slowly eroding the lime mortar holding the cell blocks together. Wild fig trees and Mediterranean scrub split open the concrete of the central courtyard, while dampness collapsed the wooden roofs of the upper tiers. This quiet disintegration of the walls and courtyards turned the abandoned prison into physical evidence of a deliberate, quiet forgetting. In January 2020, the silence broke. The Italian government appointed Silvia Costa to oversee a €70 million project to stabilize the decaying Panopticon. Funded by the state and the European Union, the effort is not a simple reconstruction. Workers face the physical challenge of injecting lime-based mortar into the porous volcanic tufa and installing reversible stainless steel anchors to hold decades of sea salt corrosion. But the technical engineering is only part of the task. The harder question is deciding what kind of past should remain visible. Conservators are using high-resolution digital scanning to document every scratch, name and marking left by prisoners on the cell walls before any stone is cleaned. Some of these inscriptions will be preserved in place, while others will exist only in digital archives. When the island reopens to a limited capacity of 280 visitors per day, the complex will host an open-air museum and a study center dedicated to European citizenship. These modern conservation choices show that the island's story is still being written, now through the deliberate decisions of what to save and what to let fade. Today, Santo Stefano's silent ruins are being restored, but physical preservation cannot erase the complex, often disputed histories etched into these stones. The island remains a quiet monument to how states exert control and how the human spirit resists. To explore more untold histories, please subscribe.